Plants have appeared numerous times in the Goosebumps universe. Take Stay Out of the Basement, Your Plant Food, the Poison Ivy short story from More Tales DVD Goosebumps, and just a whole bunch of Goosebumps books. I think even Monster Blood for Breakfast has a plant in there. And the weird thing about all those stories, though, is that it features a plant that turns evil. And so basically, I don't know if I worded that correctly, but basically, every time a plant makes a primary appearance in a Goosebumps book, the plants turn evil. And it's very strange, because most of the time these plants have no apparent reason for turning evil. I'm not sure about the plants in Your Plant Food, because I haven't read that book yet, but in Monster Blood for Breakfast, in Stay Out of the Basement, and in that short story that I mentioned before, named Poison Ivy, in all of those stories, it features a plant that is evil for no apparent reason. And so in this video, I'm going to try to figure out the explanation for how these plants continuously go bad. And so now is the time that I'm going to give you the spoiler warning. I am going to be spoiling Stay Out of the Basement. That's going to be the book that I'm going to spoil the most. All the other ones is really just going to be my spoilers. I'm really not going to spoil that much for Stay Out of the Basement, but that's the one I'm going to spoil the most. Next is not Your Plant Food. I haven't even read that book. What's it called? The short story from More Tales to Goosebumps, Poison Ivy, and also there's going to be some minor spoilers for Monster Blood for Breakfast. Haven't read those books, then highly recommend you to turn back now, but if you have, then I think you're all set to watch this video if you want to. And so, first, let's take a look at the evil plant in Monster Blood for Breakfast in order to figure out this great mystery. Okay, so in Monster Blood for Breakfast, there's this plant. It's really not that important to the story. It's just this plant that's featured, and it really comes into use in the end of the book, and the twist ending, really. So, basically, it's this plant grown by our main protagonist to use in science fair, but then after that, he just took care of it and sort of became his hobby. And so, one thing leads to another. He accidentally spills monster blood inside the plant. So, in case you don't know what monster blood is, monster blood's basically this green goo that continuously grows and grows and grows. And also, if someone eats it or something, they also will grow and grow and grow endlessly. And so, that's what appears to have happened to this plant. So, the main protagonist accidentally feeds the monster blood to this plant, causing it to grow. And so, in the twist ending, it is heavily implied that this plant is turned evil and is actually about to attack this kid. And so, as I said sort of before, that this plant really has no real reason to attack this kid. I mean, he really should feel obligated really to help humans if it had like a vengeance problem, I guess. But our main protagonist kept the plant alive instead of throwing it away and all that stuff, so I think he's sort of more indebted to the main protagonist. So I really don't think it's something like the plant's evil because he wants to take vengeance on humanity for some weird reason. I don't really think that. And so I think the only explanation for this occurrence could possibly be monster blood. That was the only thing that made the plant's behavior change, it seems like. So I would say the explanation for how all these plants turn evil could easily be monster blood. And so let's take a look at another plant-based Goosebumps book, and that is the short story from More Tales TV Goosebumps called Poison Ivy. In that story, there's this poison ivy plant that continuously grows and grows and grows and is evil. Very similar to Monster Blood for Breakfast. The plant in Monster Blood for Breakfast. And so, first off, the plant continuously grows and grows and grows, never stops. Very similar to what Monster Blood does. And the plant is evil, exactly like the plant in Monster Blood for Breakfast. They could easily be the same plant. I think they're both ivy plants, so it is a possibility, but I'm not really going into that much detail, but both plants are made evil because of something. And I think it easily could be monster blood. But also in the Goosebumps film, again, I have not read Your Plant Food, but in the Goosebumps film, the plant in that book can grow really, really fast. Like, it takes over the school, grows really, really fast, and it's evil. Just like the plants that could easily be exposed to monster blood. I mean, that's how that plant in Monster Blood for Breakfast came evil. Shares similar characteristics to the one in More Tales to Give You Goosebumps with the Poison Ivy story, and it also shares some huge similarities to the one featured in the Goosebumps film. But what about Stay Out of the Basement? In Stay Out of the Basement, there's a scientist guy who just got fired from his job. Not to get into too much detail on that, but basically, he's a botanist and he's doing experiments down in the basement in his lab, and he accidentally creates, I would say, a clone of himself that is part plant, and basically wants to take over his life. And also wants to turn, I think, other people into plants. I'm not really sure about that. I haven't read the book in not a long time, but a couple of months ago, I think. So basically in that book, plant turns evil and takes over his life. And so you think that really has no relation to monster blood, but I actually think it does. First off, how could the plant clone grow so fast in such a short period of time, unless it was monster blood? I even remember one of the quotes from the book when I reread it a couple of months ago, and they said that the plants grew in 6 weeks, which is incredibly fast for a plant, and I think it could easily be from trace amounts of monster blood. But you might be wondering, 6 weeks, that takes a little long for monster blood. Monster blood grows and grows and grows really fast, but keep in mind, plants take a long time to grow. So, for a plant, 6 weeks is a short time to grow, unless it's an ivy plant, which you can see in the other Goosebumps books grow a lot faster. But these plants probably take a longer time to grow, and so I think that's the monster blood that caused the plants to grow. That's how the clone was created so quickly in such a short period of time. And also there's a scene in Stay Out of the Basement where the plant dad or plant person gets cut, and there's this green goo going on. I don't know that much about botany. I don't really like botany as a subject. Really, but anyway, so when he was cut, green goo, or I guess plant blood, was coming out of him. But I'm pretty sure plant blood is actually clear. I think it was like some sugary stuff that they transport throughout the body. I'm not getting into the whole botany logistics of that and all that stuff, but it's not like a plant to bleed green goo. Unless that green stuff was monster blood fed by the plant dad. And so I think that's pretty much all my I have one more point, and also further evidence to support this is the fact that the scientist's dad got fired. He probably got fired because of the monster blood. People weren't sure it was safe, and this could easily be likely. Also in Monster Blood 4, there was a can of monster blood. While it was holding a different kind of monster blood that really had nothing to do with monster blood itself in Monster Blood 4, there was still a can of monster blood, most likely meaning that these scientist people were using monster blood and actually had monster blood. And while it does take place in a different area, I think Monster Blood 4 takes place in Atlanta, and Stay Out of the Basement takes place in California. So there's that difference, but both scientist places seem to have a relation to monster blood, and it would make sense. But that's really all my stuff that I have for you today. And so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, comment down below on why you think the plants have turned evil. And so this one's a shorter one. I'm sorry about that, but again, comment down below what you guys think. And that is the end of my video.